Alright guys, we have confirmation that the next character coming out will be SP Tsuki and that he will be coming out after SP Akashi's banner. So that was kind of being expected because our own was kind of a bit of an outlier. Now the interesting thing to see it will be next week once our own banner leave, whether or not Crow will also be rushed or whether or not it will actually go back into the usual 2-week frequency. So yeah, it's gonna still no update on this from the devs, but let's see exactly what's gonna happen after Tsuki's banner or after our own banner in fact. But anyway, since Tsuki will be the next character as usual, let's go through all of his skills. So his skill 1, first of all, when they're placed with debuff, you will be able to increase your awareness and reflex. If you have his own memory on, this is going to be pretty much permanently activated. And also if you actually have his resonance, also no resonance, his deployment bond with SP Crow, who's going to be the next character afterwards, you will also have this debuff, so this will also almost be permanently available as well. And then that also means you will also be able to buff your teammates by attack and also defense tactic by 10%, which is also quite nice because those are some of the more rare buffs. Then the next thing is that when you start use block skills, you're going to increase your quick attack. When you use quick skills, you're going to increase your block stat. The problem with this is that it's actually going to be skills, and a lot of time you don't tend to use your blocking skill every single time. You normally use like normal blocks every now and then. And same thing for quick spikes. A lot of the team right now is a hybrid between quick and power. So as a result, this is probably not going to be the easiest thing for you to quickly stack up. Okay, so that's something to be careful of. Next thing is going to be his skill 2. Now this is very interesting because this is actually an ultimate skill, and Tsuki is the first character that will be coming out with both ultimate skill in his skill 2 and also in skill 4. So basically he has 2 ultimate skill. Okay, so skill 2, his first ultimate skill is going to be a block ultimate skill. It's going to have a 300% scaling, which is actually in line with other characters' ultimate skill, and then your size back row, reflex, and spirit are also going to be increased when this happens. Now, the reason why Tsuki have 2 ultimate skills is that his skill 3 would actually end up weakening one of those skills to turn it more like a normal skill, but the weakening effect is only going to be 100% even in the worst case scenario. So even if you do 300 minus the 100%, from here, what's going to end up happening is that Tsuki is still going to have a normal skill of 200% multiply, and that's already a lot stronger than other characters' skill 2 multiply. Okay, so even if this does get weakened, it's still better than other characters' normal skill. Then now let's move on to the next ultimate attack. It's same kind of thing. Even if this get weakened, it's still slightly better than other characters' normal attack. But basically, this one is that the base multiplier is going to be 260%. However, when they're debuffed, which, like I said, very easy to trigger, this is going to be increased by additional 60%. So actually, this is more like the true effect is more like a 320% multiplier. And like I said, even if skill 3 weaken it by 100%, this is still going to be 220%, and that's still stronger than another character's normal attack. Okay, so the multiplier for both of his ultimate attack, even when weakened, is still better than a normal skill. Now let's move on to skill 3, which is kind of his core gimmick, which is that yes, he may have 2 ultimate skills, however, one of them is going to be weakened. And the way it's going to be decided is going to be based on his attack technique or defense technique. Okay, so if his attack technique is higher than the defense technique, what's going to happen is that he will enter an attack state, whereas if it's the other way around, it will be a defense state. And what's going to happen is that in the attack state, what's going to become for the blocking skill, so remember, he has 2 ultimate, so when he's actually in an attack mode, his block skill is going to get weakened. And the way it's going to be weakened is the power will be weakened by 100%. And it also, the cooldown is also going to reduce by 4 net crossing. So all of a sudden, this now becomes an 8 net crossing and also 200% multiply, which is going to be slightly stronger than a normal skill, like I said. And then also because he's in attack mode, his quick attack also going to get a small buff, which is that his stats will increase by 20%, and also awareness will be increased by 100% of his reflex, but it's capped to 50%. Okay, and then when he's actually in defense mode, so this is going to happen when the defense technique is either the same or higher than attack technique, then everything's going to be reversed. So his block ultimate is going to keep all of the multiplier and the cooldown here. However, as a result, his skill 4, so his normal ultimate attack, is now actually going to be reduced. So what's going to happen is that his Towering Spike, so normally this have 8 necrosing, this now will reduce down to 6 necrosing, and also the power will also be reduced down by 100% as well. However, now, unlike in the attack mode where the awareness is going to be increased by reflex, in defense mode it's always going to be the other way around. So your reflex will increase by awareness instead, okay? So basically the way you want to look at Tsuki is that he is a character capable of 2 ultimate attacks. However, in reality, due to his skill 3 mechanics, one of those ultimate attack will be weakened into like a slightly buffed up version of a normal skill, okay? So it's not saying that he has a much stronger multiplier, skill multiplier than other characters, because he normally can't enjoy both sides with that great multiplier. A vast majority of the time, one of them will be weakened, but it also makes it interesting because as you actually level up his skill 3, the weakening is going to get smaller and smaller, and it's going to be becoming more and more like Tsuki actually capable of doing 2 ultimate attack, okay? But obviously for this to happen, you actually need to have him as high skill resonance for it to work. But it also tells you that if you do actually want to do him up, make sure you unlock skill 3 first, okay? So now let's talk about his skill resonance. So skill resonance 2, in the attack state, his attack technique and defense technique are going to increase. In defense state, his defense technique are going to increase a small amount. Attack technique is going to increase a high amount. But to be honest, the difference is not massive. So the way you just look at it is that he is always going to benefit from some attack and defense technique buff. And those are some of the more rare stats. So this is always good to see. And then the next thing is that for his skill 1, Sharp Mind, before this can only be activated when you decide to use block skills or quick attack skills, etc. However, on the skill resonance 2, this now changed to whenever opponent was debuff touchable, and I already said with his memory and also deployment bond with Crow, etc. It's actually very easy for the opponent to have debuff skill, and this can actually make his skill 1 actually capable of getting all the way up to 10 stacks now, okay? Then that's skill resonance 2. Then skill resonance 4, he's going to increase 40% in terms of spirit and strength. That by itself is okay. It's basically equivalent to the main stat slots on slot 4. And then what's going to happen is that when he do a critical block, you are also able to enrage the opponent, and that obviously would allow you to guarantee triggering his skill 2, skill resonance 2, even without necessarily deploying bomb with Kuro or with his memory, etc. And also you will be increasing your own multiplier of the power. And then also at the same time, as skill resonance 4 as well, when you actually do a critical spike, so the first effect I was talking about was critical block, where you are able to increase the block stats and also increase your block multiplier, and also increase your landed debuff. And when you actually do your critical spike, you're also going to increase the spike multiplier, but more importantly, it's also going to be unstoppable as well, okay? So skill resonance 4 is also going to be a big upgrade to him. Now, I do remember that I still need to post the tier, not the tier list, the dupe priority tier list for the mid blockers as well. So I'll do that probably on Tuesday, just before Tsuki's banner is officially out. So do watch out for that if you are still deciding whether or not you want to get the skill resonance for Tsuki. Okay, now let's talk about his memory. So it's able to increase his quick attack stats. However, it's also able to buff up the block stats when he do a critical touch. So obviously this is only going to be suitable for characters who can realistically use both strong block and also quick spike. So I guess to some sense this is kind of like a skill which is a memory which is kind of bespoke and designed for him, or maybe for Lief in the future, because those two are probably the only character who, in my opinion, have good enough block and also quick spike at the same time. But then the other nice thing with this is that you are also able to land a weakened debuff onto the opponent, reducing their base stat, and basically this allows for 8 necrosing, and that's kind of how you are actually able to have a way of the opponent having debuff effect and therefore consistently landing some of the skills that Tsuki needs, which require that debuff condition. Okay, so this is another way of how you can do it. But this, however, is random, so it's not going to be guaranteed that whoever has a debuff will make over the touches in order to trigger Tsuki's condition. So normally the most safe way is still going to be, for example, playing Tsuki alongside with SP Crow for that deployment bond, which is able to land the debuff. Okay. So that's gonna be my thoughts on Tsuki and also his memory. Now, is Tsuki a character worth summoning for? The answer is yes, absolutely. He's probably one of the top 5 characters in the game, in my opinion, or even if not top 5, probably like around the 6th or 7th position. He's definitely one of the best characters in the game by miles. And partly the reason for this is the fact that he has 2 very strong ability, which can allow him to easily pivot. And then also at the same time, he actually has 3 deployment bonds, which I didn't talk about, but you guys can read it yourself. All 3 of them are incredibly strong. Okay, for example, this one with Hinata, able to reduce the cooldown for Hinata spike. This one with Kongangawa, able to reduce the cooldown for Suki's own block. And then this one with Kuro, which is a permanent base stats buff. Okay, all 5 of them, all 3 of them are insanely strong, and that just makes Tsuki a very, very versatile character because he himself can already play both a blocking role and also quick spiking role depending on team composition. And then with all of those deployment bonds that he's able to offer, he just adds a lot of value from team building point of view. So that's kind of why he's definitely one of the best character in the game, in my opinion. Now he's actually going to get even better in the future once SP Hiragami is actually going to be out, and that's because SP Hiragami actually have ability to reduce the cooldown of your character's ultimate skills for anyone with a block ultimate. And like I said, Tsuki actually have 2 ultimate attack, and one of them is going to be a block ultimate. And what's that's going to happen is that both of your Tsuki and also both of your Tsuki's block skill and also his spike skill actually going to also reduce cooldown by 4 net crossing, and that essentially allows Tsuki to be the only character in this game, I believe, has the ability to do 2 cooldown quick spike if you want to build him that way. Also have a 2 cooldown block ability as well if you want to build him that way. So obviously it's going to depend on which way you build him, depending on whether it's attack mode or defense mode, and which one's going to get further net crossing reduction. But essentially, yeah, that's kind of how crazy you can actually get Tsuki to do eventually. He is actually capable of having a 2 cooldown spike, so he can actually spam his strong spike all the time, or he can also have a cooldown of only 2 net crossing for his block skill, and then he can spam this all the time as well. Okay, so he's extremely versatile character, and that in my opinion is very, very useful, especially if you're constantly trying to build multiple teams for different specialities, etc. He is going to have a very, very important role in that because of his versatility, both through his own kit and also through all of his deployment bonds, etc. So yeah, that's going to be my thoughts on Tsuki, and honestly, he is a must-summon character in my opinion. But do let me know what you guys think and if you're planning to get him.